I was really surprised to find out there wasn't a place saved for me on a family trip I wasn't sure about from the beginning. This trip was supposed to take us to a fancy hotel, a place I wasn't really looking forward to. My husband, Henry, acted like he didn't see the clear tension aimed at me and decided to walk away, saying we would meet again at the hotel's checkout. I stayed by myself and saw them disappear into the fancy hotel. I'm Olivia, and I just turned 32 this year. I stay at home with my family. I live with Henry, my mother-in-law Sophia, and my 5-year-old son Jack. Henry and I met for the first time on a blind date 5 years ago. This led us to get married and have what seemed like a happy, trouble-free life, at least to our neighbors. Our happiness grew even more 4 years after we got married when our son Jack was born. Even with his busy schedule, Henry was very involved as a dad, helping a lot with the kids, so I had no real complaints. 3 months ago, our family changed a lot when my father-in-law passed away and Sophia had to move in with us. I hadn't seen her in a long time. The only times we met were at our wedding and when we visited to share our engagement news. Sadly, I did not have a good first impression of Sophia. My father-in-law was warm and kind, but Sophia clearly doubted if I was the right choice for Henry's wife. She asked why he chose me and said that the future would be hard. Even though Henry tried hard to impress her, she still looked at him with disapproval. In the end, she gave in, swayed by her husband and Henry. However, the things she said to me before are still hard to forget and are still a topic we argue about today. I felt a little worried about how things would go, so I chose to stay positive and try my best to get along with Sophia when she moved in with us. When she got here with her stuff, I jumped in to help her unpack. Sophia was really nice to Jack, who had just turned 5. She gave him a lot of attention while Henry and I looked through her things. I organized the small things while Henry took care of the heavy stuff. The process went well, and soon I had just a few small things left to organize. I put a fake plant in a place that I thought would make the room look nicer while I was unpacking. Sophia asked me about my choice and said we could go somewhere else. Her tone seemed a little rough, but I ignored it, thinking she might just feel strongly about how the room looks. I moved the plant quietly, wanting to avoid any conflict. While Sophia was with Jack, she started watching TV. This left me to take care of Jack and finish unpacking. Henry was having a nice break after all the hard work, so I didn't want to bother him. I finished feeling a mix of emotions, telling myself that Sophia was just getting used to her new place, which helped me push away my rising annoyance. Sophia's critiques happened every day. One morning, I woke up early to make breakfast for everyone. After that, I thought I would take a little break. Sophia said something about how messy the house was and told me to clean it instead of just relaxing. Her constant criticism, along with her being gone during the day and not helping out, began to affect me mentally. I talked to Henry about my worries, hoping he would help me, but his answer was not what I expected. He said I should try to be more understanding because his father recently passed away. He didn't help, and that made me feel helpless and alone. At night, I lay in bed, feeling really stressed and close to crying, thinking about what was happening in my life. One night, Jack cried out, but I was so tired that I found it hard to get up right away. Sophia came into my room suddenly, scolding me for not taking care of my son immediately and saying I was not doing my job as a mother. Her words hurt, but to keep the peace, I quietly got up and went to comfort Jack, feeling the stress of the day with me. I couldn't sleep at all that night. Since Henry had the day off, I thought about what nice dish to make for lunch, hoping to create something enjoyable for everyone. While I thought about what to do, Sophia started to prepare lunch. When she set out the meals, I noticed that one plate was not there, mine. I made food for Henry, who works hard, and my dear grandson. Of course, there isn't anything for you. You need to take care of yourself, she said. This made me feel really embarrassed. I realized then that what she was doing wasn't just being mean, it was bullying on purpose. I had a strong understanding that really affected me. I had always tried to see Sophia's behavior as tough love, thinking maybe she was pushing me to be a better partner for Henry. Without this perspective, I felt like I would crumble under the pressure, unable to retort and feeling increasingly isolated. I poured my heart out to a childhood friend after dropping Jack off at daycare. "This is outright bullying. How are you managing to cope?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. Sharing the ordeal with her, I found myself breaking down, unable to hold back tears any longer. My friend's support was unwavering. "You're stronger than you realize, and you'll get through this. Let's think of a plan," she encouraged, giving me a glimmer of hope. Though our conversation was brief, it lifted a weight off my shoulders. Following her advice, I decided to discreetly record the daily goings-on at home. I picked up an affordable recorder on my way back from picking up Jack and set it up in a hidden spot at home. Amidst my cleaning spree, I stumbled upon a piece of paper that had slipped out of one of Sophia's drawers. It was a personal loan agreement with a staggering sum of $20,000. Shocked but realizing its potential significance, I pocketed the document. Later that evening, with Sophia back and Henry returning just in time for dinner, we sat down to the usual setting. Sophia's complaints were out of the blue. She mentioned a discount coupon for a luxurious spa hotel she had received from a friend, clearly hinting she wanted to use it. Henry was instantly supportive of the idea, and even Jack seemed thrilled at the prospect. This unexpected turn of events seemed to offer a brief respite from the tension at home, sparking a mix of emotions within me. Truthfully, I wasn't excited at the thought of joining them on the trip, anticipating nothing but discomfort for myself. Yet, surprisingly, Sophia extended an invitation my way, acknowledging my hard work around the house with an offer to tag along. Her unexpected gesture left me stunned, considering her usual behavior towards me. For a moment, I dared to hope her intentions were genuine, not spiteful. That night, I found myself restless, weighing the pros and cons of accepting the invitation. Henry approached me with a plea, expressing his desire for me to accompany them. He explained his dilemma. He couldn't rely on his mother to watch Jack, and managing our son alone on the trip would be too challenging. My frustration with how he had overlooked his mother's treatment towards me bubbled to the surface. "You've never stood up for me against your mother's unfair treatment. Why should I agree to this?" I retorted, leaving Henry at a loss for words. However, he was persistent, leading me to lay down my terms. If I were to consider joining them, in a moment of realization, I showed him the personal loan agreement I had discovered in Sophia's room, revealing her $30,000 debt. Henry was visibly shocked, unable to fathom his mother's financial burden. He proposed that we assist in settling the debt, a request that put me in a difficult position. Given Sophia's behavior towards me, I was initially reluctant to offer any help. Yet Henry's earnest plea led me to propose my own conditions for any assistance and my participation in the trip. My demands were clear. Henry needed to intervene whenever Sophia mistreated or overly criticized me. Additionally, I insisted on establishing clear rules for Sophia's behavior to be written and displayed throughout the house. If she failed to adhere to these terms, we would have no choice but to ask her to leave. Henry agreed to my terms, and we decided to implement these changes after our return from the trip to ensure the rules would be in place. Upon our return, I arranged for my friend to post the rules around the house in our absence. We agreed to maintain a facade of normalcy until the trip concluded, after which we would confront the situation head-on. With this plan in place, I reluctantly agreed to join the trip, informing Sophia of my decision the following day. Deciding to join them on the trip, I reminded myself to stay patient just a bit longer. On the departure day, as Henry was gathering everyone's luggage, Sophia immediately showed her true colors. "Let Olivia handle the bags," she demanded, a clear attempt to belittle me right from the start. Henry gave me a look of apology, but to avoid any conflict I complied, albeit reluctantly. The bags were heavier than I expected, and managing them while also looking after Jack was no small feat. I silently worried about my dwindling energy reserves, fearing I wouldn't have any left to enjoy our luxurious hotel destination. The journey to the hotel involved a scenic Amtrak ride, followed by a drive through mountainous terrain. The hotel itself was a sight to behold, with its stunning exterior and interior exuding luxury. Jack's excitement was palpable as he darted around exploring, while Sophia seemed to appreciate the decor before heading to the front desk for our check-in. As I was about to make my way to our room, Sophia's next words hit me like a ton of bricks. "Were you planning to stay with us? I only booked for the 5 of us." Confusion washed over me as I tried to process what she was saying. The stark realization dawned on me that her invitation was a ruse to exploit me as a makeshift porter with no real intention of including me in their stay. "Then where should I sleep?" I inquired, to which she coldly responded, "I don't know and I don't care. Maybe you can camp out somewhere around here." Her words were a clear dismissal, suggesting I was to fend for myself outdoors. Her cruelty left me seething with anger, but before I could confront her, she and my family vanished into the hotel, leaving me stranded in the lobby, feeling utterly defeated. I exited the hotel, overwhelmed by the situation. Henry's feeble apology via message did nothing to console me. By noon, I found myself alone, grabbing lunch at a nearby cafe and eventually seeking refuge in an open field, hoping to find solace under the night sky. Just as I settled down, my phone rang. It was my friend, checking in on how the trip was going, unaware of the ordeal I was facing. Her voice was a reminder of the plan we had hatched together, a plan that now seemed worlds away from my current predicament. I had the foresight to provide a copy of my house key to my trusted friend, explaining the potential for trouble after the shocking turn of events at the hotel. I filled her in on the situation. She was livid on my behalf and offered to come rescue me, but I declined. I knew that leaving would only play into Sophia's hands, something I wasn't willing to let happen. The uncertainty of her future actions weighed heavily on me, prompting a call to a lawyer for advice. I shared my evidence of emotional abuse, considering legal action against her. Although the outcome was contingent on proving premeditation, I was reassured by my lawyer that my evidence was substantial enough to pursue a case. Exhausted mentally and physically, I found solace lying in the grass under the night sky, letting the cool breeze envelop me as I contemplated my next step. The following morning, I reunited with my family and Sophia just in time for checkout. Sophia's immediate jabs about my presumed night outdoors were halted by Henry's intervention, though she swiftly sidestepped to other topics. It was clear Henry had communicated the extremity of her actions to her. Upon our return home, Sophia's outrage was palpable as she encountered the posted rules around the house. Her anger quickly shifted to shock as Henry presented the loan agreement. Her complexion turned from red to pale as her secret was laid bare. Under pressure, she confessed to squandering her late husband's life insurance and accumulating debt thereafter. Henry and I stood firm on the consequences we had discussed, facing eviction and legal action. Sophia listened to the recorded proof of her behavior, her defiance turning to desperation. She pleaded for mercy, promising to adhere to the new house rules and change her ways. Her earnest apology and willingness to reform took me by surprise. It was a moment of vindication, seeing her so humbled and eager to make amends. Reluctantly, I agreed to give her a chance under the condition that she truly abide by the rules and curtail her aggressive behavior. Her gratitude was palpable, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope for a more peaceful coexistence. Just when I thought we had turned a corner, my legs gave way and I collapsed to the floor. Henry quickly helped me into a chair before turning his frustration towards his mother, his voice laden with disappointment and disbelief. It seemed the revelation of the debt had eroded his respect and trust in her. The thought of being sternly reprimanded by her own son was something Sophia had probably never anticipated, and her frantic apologies reflected her shock. After the confrontation, she spent the day in silence, her gaze lost to the sky, signaling a seismic shift in the household dynamic. The following morning, I stuck to my routine, getting up early to prepare breakfast despite the recent upheaval. Sophia slipped into old habits, throwing a barbed comment my way. However, this time, Henry immediately countered her with a firm reminder of their recent discussion, leaving her speechless and retreating to the sofa. I couldn't help but stifle a chuckle at the scene, but I focused back on breakfast. Henry's guilt over not defending me sooner was apparent, and his struggle against the woman who raised him was palpable. Yet, I knew his heart was in the right place, and I couldn't fault him for the complexities of his feelings. His heartfelt apology later on, accompanied by tears, reassured me of his support. Over time, Sophia's demeanor towards me softened. While she still made occasional critiques, the underlying hostility seemed to fade. This newfound peace allowed me to breathe easier, fostering a healthier mental state to manage the debt repayment of $700 a month. Henry and I teamed up, with me taking on a part-time job to contribute financially. Despite her past actions, Sophia took on the responsibility of Jack's daycare runs commendably, earning back some trust. To prevent any further financial missteps, Henry took control of managing her finances. Our family dynamic evolved gradually, inching toward a semblance of harmony. The ordeal taught me a valuable lesson about the complex interplay of love, family, and the challenges of living with a difficult in-law. I had once considered separation as an escape from a harsh criticism and unbearable treatment, but the discovery of the IOU became a catalyst for change. It offered a chance to mend fences and strengthen our family unit. Perhaps there was a touch of luck in how things unfolded, but it also underscored the power of resilience and forgiveness in overcoming adversity. Reflecting on everything I've been through, my heart is full of gratitude for my friend's unwavering support. Her listening ear and encouraging words were a beacon of light in my darkest times. Without her, I'm certain the weight of my struggles would have overwhelmed me, possibly leading to a mental breakdown. It's a friendship I vow to treasure deeply. Recalling the hardships fills me with a mix of emotions. Tears well up as I acknowledge the effort I've put into keeping my family afloat, despite battling depression and lacking the drive to handle daily chores. I persevered, ensuring my family had a decent life, especially striving to shield my son from any hardship. This brings a sense of pride and accomplishment that warms my heart. Forgiving Sophia may be beyond my capacity, but she remains my mother-in-law, and I've chosen to treat her with kindness. Time has a way of softening the sharpest edges of our conflicts. Since those challenging days, years have passed. My son has blossomed, eagerly stepping into preschool. We're on the cusp of paying off the debts and are exploring the possibility of moving to a new home, marking a fresh start for our family. Sophia has gradually begun to assist me, easing the once tense atmosphere in our home. My bond with Henry has grown stronger, enriched by our experiences and mutual understanding. We're even contemplating the joy of welcoming another child into our lives. Our family stands on solid ground now, a testament to resilience, love, and the quiet strength that comes from facing life's trials head-on. I'm committed to continuing my efforts, nurturing this stability, and fostering a loving environment for my family.